reading from the Christian Scriptures comes from the book of Acts, chapter 6, verses 8 through 15. This is the story of Stephen, who some of you might remember, who was a disciple/apostle and was going out into the world as one chosen. And Stephen, full of grace and power, did great wonders and signs among the people. Then some of those who belonged to the synagogue of the freedmen, as it was called, Cyrenians and Alexandrians and others of those from Cilicia and Asia, stood up and argued with Stephen. But they could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit by which he spoke. Then they secretly instigated some men to say, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God." They stirred up the people as well as the elders and the scribes. Then they suddenly confronted him, seized him, and brought him before the council. They set up false witnesses against him who said, "This man never stops saying things against this holy place in the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and will change the customs that Moses handed on to us." And all who sat in the council looked intently at him, and they saw that his face was like the face of an angel. So some of you know I just kind of got back from vacation, second week back, and one part of the vacation that I was very kind of intentional about this time is I wanted to make sure that I stayed in touch with the news. It feels like there's so much going on in the world from day to day, moment to moment. It's like, I know I'm on vacation, but I really want to stay connected to the news. And so I read, I listened, and every time I did, what I noticed is I got riled up. Anybody feel that these days? You start checking things out, and you're like, oh, that shouldn't be happening. Oh, that shouldn't be happening. And there's a lot of that going on in the world. I read Heather Cox Richardson's blog, which I highly recommend. And she does a summary of what's in the news and what people are reporting on. And it deeply disturbed me over my vacation. And I was really frustrated, and I continued to be worried about our country and where we're going and what's behind the scenes of what the current administration is doing. And in the middle of all this, I went fishing. Now, some of you know how much I love fishing, so I don't mind preaching about it and remembering it. But I took a couple days, and one morning, I was on this gorgeous stream. It's called the Little Truckee River. It's up by Lake Tahoe. I was all alone. There were fish rising. The sun was out. It was just gorgeous. There's not a sound besides the water gently moving, the birds gently chirping, and me and the fish. It was amazingly peaceful. And what I realized is the administration continued to do its stuff. The world continued to swirl about us and really about me. And yet for that moment, I was disconnected from all of it. I was unplugged. My heart felt full. I was joyful. I'm sure if there were other fishermen watching me, they would have said that my face radiated because I was catching fish. It was great. I had a different focus. I had a different sense of my well-being, even though the world didn't stop. And what I want to offer today is kind of that reflection on how do we get there besides going up to mountain streams or whatever you do to get to that place. Because I can get there in this service sometimes. I can get there in morning prayer. I can get there, but it's hard to keep that going, isn't it? So how do we work on that? I want to wonder with you today about making that more continuous for us. Really in the wildness of this world. So in our Bible study group on Tuesday morning, we recently talked about this passage in the book of Acts. And some of you, just as background, may know that the book of Acts really is chapter 2 of a two-setter. The first chapter really is the Gospel of Luke. And the second is this. It's a follow-up. And one of the fascinating things that I love about this setup is that the gospel is all about what Jesus does and him doing all these incredible things and teachings and stuff. But chapter 2 is about what the disciples do. How do they embody the life that Jesus was trying to get them to live? And then they actually kind of do it. And hopefully that is inspirational to us. Hopefully that's a powerful example for us about what we're called to. Because we're called to be those who embody that in this time and in this place. We're called to be the disciples, the apostles, if you will, of those in this time who are working to embody Jesus' teachings and his way. And so, getting back to the story, we hear that Stephen was doing a pretty good job of this. He was inspired. He was, what did they say, full of grace and power, doing great wonders and signs among the people. Hey, bravo, Stephen. I would look at him and go, fantastic. And yet, we hear, even in the midst of this good, caring ministry, this effective ministry, this amazing thing, we hear the ways of the world coming in on that, crouching in on that. We hear about people who were first arguing with him and they couldn't get him to shut up. So they started riling people up. They were arguing with him. They were stirring the crowd against him. Then they twisted his words. They gave alternative facts. They lied about who he was and what he was doing and what he was saying. They set up people, encouraged people to give false witness against him, to condemn him. And it sounds to me, that sounds pretty awful. And it seems also like there are quite a few parallels that we can make out of that to our world. I don't know if you really were tracking with Marjorie's, the first part of Marjorie's reading. I was like, that's our world, that's our world, that's our world, that's our world. Holy moly, what a list. And we hear about it almost every day. We hear about a new chapter, a new thing that comes to light. And the challenge is, what do we do with that? What do we do with that? And so the teaching this morning, I think, is beautiful because even with all of that stuff swirling around him, all these people working for his demise, the council, the head mucky-mucks, the people who are going to judge this thing, looked at him and what did they see? They saw that he had the face of an angel. Now, I know that seems dramatic, and I think that's intentional. I think it's to uplift it for us to say, listen, with all this stuff swirling around, something was different within him. He was able to hold on to a different understanding, a different way, maybe even touching into a different power that we've talked about today a little bit earlier. Somehow the stuff flying around him was kept from going into him. He kept from internalizing it. He kept from embodying that because somehow his inner world stayed serene. And if you want to do some more reading, read the next part because clearly he has this amazing speech and it gets him into trouble, but he's able to keep his bearings even in the midst of all this. And as I was thinking about this, it reminds me of the image that many of us have used from time to time about being in the eye of the hurricane, the eye of the storm, where the storm is swirling around you, and yet you're kind of cruising in the middle. You're in that happy, quiet, safe, peaceful place in the middle, even when things are swirling about you. And I think both of those, the image of Stephen's face in the midst of all the people and being in the eye of the hurricane, are great images that we can tap into, that we can use to help us when our lives feel like they're swirling, where stuff around us is kind of out of our control and swirling. I'm sure we're going to hear something of this in the Palestinian talk tomorrow night. Here's a woman who is doing amazing things when a lot of the world is and systems and structures are against her. That's amazing. How does she get there? That's part of what we're talking about today. So my question, challenge for you in this is, how do you embody these images? How do you, who you may not see yourself as very powerful, you may not see yourself as having a voice, you may not see yourself as standing up and doing this great thing, which is fine, and yet, how do you stay peaceful and grounded in the midst of life swirling about you? How do you stay connected to the divine when everything's trying to drag you away from that understanding? So I'm going to offer just a couple of, a small selection of what there are many tools out there. But let me just suggest a couple of things that kind of is a way of helping with this. The first is to work not to take things personally. I know this is a hard one for some of us, because we're used to taking everything personally. But Richard Rohr puts it in a very helpful way. Life is not about you, but you are about life. I love that. We tend to think everything's about us. This conversation that I'm having with Marjorie, it's about me making my way and convincing her of something. No, it's not. No, it's not. We can tend to make things that aren't actually about us as individuals into existential crises. Oh my goodness, the grocery prices are going up, I'm going to starve. It may be hard, but how do we deal with life and not take things incredibly personally? One of the conversations that I hear a lot about these days is when we talk about the United States, the terms white men and Christians arise a lot. If you're a white guy, you may have noticed this. I'm a white guy, and I'm a Christian. And if I took everything that people are saying about white Christian men personally, I'd be debating everybody out there. I'd be defending myself against all these people. And guess what? I wouldn't hear the important voice that they are trying to raise. I'd be too defensive to be able to hear and welcome what they're saying. This is where, if I make it personal, then I can't really hear what they're saying. Now, if I can step back a little bit, not take it personally, and really hear what they're saying, then I can compare and find out, is this a dynamic that's in me and that maybe I need to deal with to get out of unhealthy behavior, oppressive behavior? Maybe I'm doing it and I don't even know it, but if I don't listen, I can never make that determination. I cannot grow. So, number two, related to this is the wisdom to keep the storm outside of you. I know a lot of folks who love the storm. They really like the storm. They say they don't, but bring a good storm and stir me up. Right? We take the outside, what is happening to others, what's happening in the world around us, and we internalize that storm, and then we're all over the place. We're all over the place. We don't have enough energy. We don't have enough power to deal with all the stuff that's going on in our world. And when we internalize it, it seriously undercuts our sanity and our balance, our well-being, and our focus. I want to encourage us to keep that internal space as sacred. Work to keep it as holy. Work to keep your center clear and clean and connected to God and light and hope and joy. There's a lot of depression around us in the world. Understandably so. And how do we keep it on the outside, keep it in the whirlwind around us, rather than taking it all in? A huge part of counseling and spiritual direction and therapy is those who are therapists, spiritual directors, have to work to keep what somebody else is from coming into us. But it's true for all of us. When you listen with compassion and grace. And Kevin's issues are not my issues necessarily. Karen's issues are not necessarily my issues. It's important to keep those separate, so the whirlwind stays around us and not within us. Number three, I got a whole handful of them for you today. Make sure and I heard it earlier today, I appreciated it, make sure to unplug yourself at least a little bit. Give yourself mental, spiritual breaks from stuff. Put your phone down. Leave your phone somewhere for a particular period of time and just be. Just be. Unplug yourself from the news. Fast from news or from your phone. Don't doom scroll. Say no to doom scrolling. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what are these people saying? Ah! I mean, even as I say, you can kind of, doesn't it feel like it ratchets up the anxiety a little bit? Some of us do this all the time. Unplug. Allow yourself to not obsess over the bad news of the world. Honor it. Stay connected. Know what it is, and then leave it a little bit. Put it down. Get away. And along with this, when you unplug, focus on beauty for a little bit. Find a gorgeous flower. Listen to a piece of music. Listen to some fun jazz that Martin's going to play. Right? Listen to our 3 protest singers. That was hilarious and fun. That was great, great energy. Allow yourself to be nourished, to be nurtured. Stand in the wind when it's blowing. Savor it. Go sit in the garden. Listen to a cricket chirp if you like that. I don't know. But focus on beauty. And then do something to embody what you stand for. I think this is an important thing. Because when good folks do nothing, evil wins. We know this through history. Do something. It doesn't have to be moving a mountain. But find something where you can embody your truth. Where you can do something small to push things in the direction that you want them to go or think that God wants them to go. Make a phone call. Talk to a friend. Read a book. Something to embody what you believe to be the right thing. Go to a protest. I don't know. And last but not least, certainly not least, double down on your connection with the divine. However you do that. I'm talking about how you connect with the one that is your power to sustain you. The one that you call God. Work on that connection. Give it time, energy, and focus. If you want your face to shine like the face of an angel, that comes with the connection to the light. So the light radiates up and through you. This is the way to go. This is the way to go. You all can do this. And it takes work. It takes attention. It takes practice, practice, practice. Clearly, this storm that we are experiencing now is not something new in this world. The struggle of the outer chaos and the tending of our inner lives to try and keep them from the chaos was around 2,000 years ago and continues unabated in our time, and likely will forever be. I'm guessing, just going on a short limb here. The challenge that I hope that we can rise to again is to stay in the center of the spiritual hurricane where it is peaceful and light, so that the light may radiate to the world around us and keep us grounded in our time and facing all the challenges that are offered to us. I pray your well-being on this journey. Let's do it together. Amen. Amen.